Hey guys, so today I am sharing with you the 80-20 rule. It is a neurobiological fact that will fundamentally change the way you understand your relationship with money. And the fact that it's not your fault if money mindset work in the past has not worked out for you. This isn't about a different strategy. This isn't about doing more mindset work. It's about the secret key that unlocks it all. And if you stay to the end of this episode, you're going to totally understand what your smartest financial strategies will result in if you use what I'm going to teach you today. Hey guys. So today we are talking about the 80-20 rule in your business. The 80-20 rule that your brain doesn't want you to know about money. And you're probably like, Dr. Ash, what the heck do you mean my brain doesn't want me to know about this? Well, let me tell you. I am an expert in trauma. I'm an expert in the mind-body connection and nervous system regulation. And working with thousands of entrepreneurs, I have seen that 90% of them do not understand that their body, that their nervous system, that the way that they feel physically is one of the most important things that they need to tune into in order to understand and shift their relationship with money. The problem is most people out there are trying to change their relationship only through their brain, only through their thinking, only through their thoughts, only through, picking apart their limiting beliefs. This is such a limited point of view, and it totally misses the boat on some of the most important factors that absolutely shift your relationship with money on this foundational cellular physical platform that really shifts everything. You see, 80% of the nerves in this part of your nervous system that I'm talking about, in your autonomic nervous system, go from your body to your brain. And only 20% of those nerves go from your brain down to your body. Now, imagine if you're completely ignoring your body, right? You're ignoring the physical symptoms of tension, of stress, of the fight or flight response. You're ignoring the symptoms of a dysregulated nervous system. What happens is you're ignoring 80% of the data that your system is trying to share with you about what's going on with you and money. And you're only paying attention to 20% of the data, the thoughts that you're thinking, and thinking that's going to solve the issue. That's like basically trying to forgive the metaphor, frost a turd and decide that it's going to taste really good. If 80% of it is cake that's made out of, shit, well, the frosting, no matter how delicious, isn't going to fix the flavor of that cake, period. And this is what happens with people who are only focusing on mindset work. They are basically constantly trying to frost a turd and expecting it to taste really yummy. Well, yes, you can scrape the frosting off and it's going to be like yum, 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 but you're still going to have, a turd sandwich underneath it that isn't going to serve you and isn't ever going to taste good, no matter how much frosting you put on it. And so we have to stop trying to frost the turd and understand we need to rebake the cake. The cake is your physical response to money. It's your nervous system. It's the physical tension that you carry in the body. It's that 80% of those nerve fibers going from your body up into your brain versus that 20%, the frosting that's going from your brain down to your body, right? And so when you reprogram your physical responses to money, you are actually rebaking the cake so that the whole thing is yummy instead of going, frosting, oh my God, what is this thing that I'm eating? We don't want that in a relationship with money because it doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve your bank account and it doesn't serve your business, right? So basically, in going back to the science, we need to understand that, this is the way that the nervous system works because it was built to help you survive. You needed to be able to respond on a physical level that bypassed this conscious thinking in order to be able to run away from a lion on the savannah, right? So that it wasn't chomping on your brain going, yum, 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 like you needed to be able to sprint before you even thought to yourself, gee, there's a lion. Because if you had to sit there and think, gee, there's a lion, I better run in the other direction before you started running, you'd have been dead already. You wouldn't be able to, have the babies, to, see them all grow and all of that good stuff, you wouldn't survive another day if you had to consciously think about survival, if you had to consciously think about running in the other direction. So your subconscious mind is primed to do these things before you even have a conscious thought about it. And how does your subconscious mind know what to do? Well, it picks up on your physical response to what's going on in your environment. So your eyeballs might see that lion and you go, oh, and that sharp intake of breath, that stress response, which is adaptive, helps you go phew and run in the other direction before you're even thinking like, oh my God, there was a lion. This is an evolutionarily adaptive process that we needed to have in order to survive. The problem is that we now have stressors that aren't lions and aren't out there to kill us. They're things like our bank account balance. They're things like we don't get the sale in our business. They're things like we're frustrated that we just had a great month and now we're not making any money this month. We're scared that we're not going to be able to pay our team. We're scared that we're not going to be able to keep up our amazing abundance that we've generated in our business. All of those things become chronic stressors. They become that lion coming at us, and our physical bodies go, ooh, and tighten up and get all tense and all constricted. And guess what happens? It triggers our subconscious mind to run the hell away from the thing that we want the most, which is money, because the money becomes a stressor that stimulates our physical response, that 80% of those nerve fibers in this part of our nervous system that stimulates us to survive and run away from that stressor. And so when you don't work with the nervous system, with what's going on with you on a physical level, and you don't embody this sense of relaxation, this sense of safety with these things like money and success and all of this stuff, what happens is you will always subconsciously self-sabotage yourself and run in the other direction. Even if consciously you're like, oh, hell yeah, I want to make some money. Yeah, that's not convincing to your subconscious mind when your body is going at getting an unexpected bill in the mail, or your body is going about not knowing where your next sale is going to come from. Your body doesn't lie. Your body holds the score. It can get even more complicated than this, and I'm not going to go too far into this in this video, but this can also involve things like our, underlying patterning due to past traumas. It can also have to do with things like cultural expectations, our family and ancestral wounds. We take a lot of this stuff in on a cellular level, but this is, some of the science that really backs up why this system is so important to understand and why it's so important to regulate your nervous system in order to achieve more wealth and abundance in your business and in your life. So this is why you can have all the practical money knowledge in the world. You can have a budget. You can have a great strategy. You can do all the mindset work. You can do the affirmations. You can do the vision board. You can dismantle your limiting beliefs, and then things still aren't working. And you're going, am I just doing this wrong? No, it's that you haven't addressed the core embodiment of wealth that involves regulating the nervous system. So there are 3 ways that your body can sabotage your financial success. The first of which is money paralysis response. This is when you start to feel that throat constriction, when you start to feel shallow breathing during pricing conversations, when you're looking at your bank account. The mechanism that's going on here is basically you're interpreting financial reality, money stuff, as a threat to your existence. The business impact of things like undercharging, things like avoiding sales conversations, things like avoiding following up with people on paying their invoices, all of those kinds of things. So your body literally closes your throat and constricts when you try to speak about your true value out there in the world, because it's protecting you from perceived rejection or judgment. The second way this shows up, the second way your body sabotages your financial success, is the anxiety spiral, the success anxiety spiral. This is when your stomach gets nuts and you start to get tension headaches after hitting income goals, or you get really sick, or you get really exhausted. This is your nervous system interpreting success and abundance as an unpredictable danger, A lot of times this has to do with trauma and with stuff in the past that says when things are going good, just hold on because shit's going to hit the fan eventually. The way this impacts your business is stuff like self-sabotage after breakthroughs, inconsistent income months where you're hitting a high one month and then the next month it's like, oh crap, what happened? This is pulling back momentum when you are feeling that things are starting to go, really, really well. This is getting overwhelmed or going into burnout because you start to feel that people are going to be expecting so much from you when you start to finally make that breakthrough that you were waiting for so long. So you hit your first 10K, 20K, 30K month, and instead of celebrating, your body goes into hypervigilance. You start to get almost more afraid. You start scanning for threats in your environment because you're in unfamiliar territory and you don't know how to make it safe to hold and receive that amount of money. The third way your body sabotages your financial success is the decision-making shutdown. The decision-making shutdown, right? This is when you start to get brain fog, confusion, overcomplication, exhaustion, just feeling like, oh God, I don't know what to do, lack of clarity. When you go into strategic planning, when you start to try to make decisions in your business, when you start to try to look at things on a global level to really be able to scale your business to the next level instead of just throwing more spaghetti at the wall. This is basically your prefrontal cortex going offline because of this chronic financial stress that you've been dealing with. You see, here's the kicker. When we go into that fight or flight response, when we go into that place where we're trying to survive and run away from the lion and our body is giving our brain, the signal like survive, run. Basically, all of our inner resources are put toward survival, running, and they are taken away from digestion. They're taken away from communication. They're taken away from problem solving. It's taken away from creativity. It's taken away from everything you need to make your business thrive. Everything you need to make your business scale to the next level. And so what happens is all of that shuts down and becomes totally unclear. And you're just like, why am I so confused? I know I have these answers within me, but it's almost just like a snow globe in my brain and I just can't think clearly. And so this is when we have in our business poor strategic decisions, when we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall out of anxiety or out of just needing to do something, when we avoid growth opportunities, or when we get into analysis paralysis and we're constantly overthinking things. So when your nervous system is dysregulated around money, the exact part of your brain responsible for strategic thinking becomes totally inaccessible, and you basically lose all your inner resources. You lose your inner genius that knows what to do. Because here's the kicker, you do know what to do. So the whole mindset myth is that mindset is everything, that the only way to fix this is mindset is just think a different thought. That is incredibly helpful, but unless you actually address it on this physiological level, you're going to not find the results that you want. And you may have done a lot of money mindset work in the past and found that this was true for you, that you didn't get the results that you wanted and you wondered, what am I doing wrong? The problem isn't that you've done something wrong. The problem is that the whole self-help and coaching industry and all of this stuff just has it backwards, and they're just missing a key part of the puzzle. They're trying to convince you that 20%, your conscious thinking will, the frosting is going to save everything, when you've got to rebake the cake and stop trying to frost the turd cake. Stop trying to frost the turd. I know I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes, but they're fucking hilarious. Anyway, so you need to really work with your body in order to make this work, and to stop feeling like you're in this tug of war with your thoughts all of the time. Because when you regulate your nervous system first around wealth and abundance, everything changes. Everything changes. And so I really want you guys to understand that by making this paradigm shift to addressing the physiological response to stress first, regulating your nervous system first, what happens is it helps the mindset piece work. without addressing the physiological piece, the embodiment piece, the mindset stuff isn't going to stick and it isn't going to work because it is a coping mechanism. The thoughts you think are a coping mechanism to keep you safe. But if your body doesn't feel safe, you're going to continue using those coping mechanisms and then wonder what's going on, right? You know, this deep financial transformation happens when we regulate that nervous system, when we transition to a place of embodied safety, of feeling physically expansive around wealth, around success, around inviting more. All of these things. Now, I'm going to be talking about this more over the coming weeks, about our relationship with ease, about our relationship with success, about how trauma and the nervous system have impacted these in specific ways they've held you back and specific ways that we can break through this. But today, I really want you to begin with the concept that if you rewire your nervous system and you start there and it was even just the only thing you ever did and you'd never even worked on some of this mindset stuff, you would find a radical shift in your relationship with money that would blow your freaking mind. It would blow your freaking mind. And this is what I do with some of my clients. So I want to invite you to check out my program, the Embodied Wealth Lab. This is an amazing 31-day program, just 10 to 20 minutes every single day, where we do experiential exercises. I work you through processes every day to help you regulate your nervous system, to help you feel relaxed and at ease and expansive in that embodied sense, so that 80% is giving your conscious brain the signal, the green light that goes, yes, boys, this is what we want and it's safe to have it. And then it becomes so much easier. So I want to invite you to check out that program so that you can find yourself checking your bank account balance and not feeling stressed. You can find yourself with an unexpected bill in the mail and not feel as though it's going to kill you like that lion trying to chomp on your brain. All right. Until next time, I can't wait to celebrate with you all of your wealth, abundance, and absolute inevitable success.